All right, what up, what up? Just got back from the gym, but I wanted to make this video. I wanted to talk about the three biggest mistakes that most people either new to weight loss or like who are trying to get really fit for their goals usually make, and these are all mistakes I've made. So I wish there was someone to tell me what they are, so I'm gonna tell you. So mistake number one. So that would be the whole like restrictive crash diet, like get fit in 6 weeks deal. So what people do is they take their diet and they make all of these massive restrictive changes, whether that's just, cutting out all the unhealthy foods, which usually means everything you like, or a lot of things you like anyway, or it means like cutting out an entire macronutrient like carbs or something like that. But you're making this massive change to your diet. And what happens is they probably read it somewhere or saw it somewhere and they were like, oh, this is it. This is how I get fit. I can finally get the body that I want. Or I can finally get to my goals, and they're sold on it. They're excited. So they throw themselves into it for like 3 or 4 days. I remember I did. And by day 4, all of that excitement is gone, and all they're left with is this like misery. Because the odds are you probably didn't make a ton of progress, or if you did, it was fleeting, right? But either way, it's like, oh, I can't keep this up. And what happens is they stop, like me, and you stop and you fall back into your old habits and you just gain everything back. You get back to where you were. It's really discouraging. It's really frustrating. Obviously not effective because you can't keep it up. But also what it does is it creates this terrible negative feedback loop. So what you've done is you've created this loop in your brain that's made you think, oh, my journey to my goals or my journey to fitness it's going to be rough. It's not going to be fun. And what you're doing is you're de-incentivizing yourself from trying again in the future, which is like the opposite of what we want to be doing. You want to create a positive feedback loop. That's like why I do pretty much everything I do in relation to fitness. So that's definitely mistake one, that like crash diet, get fit super fast mentality. Nothing good comes super fast, or nothing good comes easy. Easy come, easy go, right? But number 2 is relying solely on exercise for all of your fitness goals, or like all of your leaning, you know what I mean? Your whole leaning process. And so that's another one of the kind of misleading ideas that's promulgated by the fitness industry. We're told you got to be in the gym, 2-3 hours a day. You got to be running. You got to be doing HIIT. You got to be doing this, that, the other.
You lied to me.
And it just, firstly, people end up doing these grueling, like torturous workouts, several times a week, and they're like killing themselves. And a lot of the times what happens is you're doing stuff that you really don't enjoy, but you keep telling yourself like, oh, this really sucks, but I really want to get to my goals. So you keep doing it, but it's unsustainable for 2 reasons. Firstly, because you hate every second of it, and it's really hard to make a habit out of something that you hate that much. But also what happens is a lot of these exercises that people do aren't nearly as efficient at burning calories as they think they are. And that's where all weight loss comes from, right? Is a caloric deficit. That's what you're trying to create. So for example, like a lot of people think, and like what I thought is like, oh, if you run 1 or 2 miles every day, or you run 2 or 3 miles a few times a week, or after every workout, you'll burn fat, you'll get cut. So what happens is those workouts, like say a 1 or 2 mile run on the treadmill, for the average person is going to burn somewhere between 100 and 300 calories for the average person. To put that in perspective, like a Coca-Cola has over 100 calories in it, like somewhere between 120 and 180. Don't quote me on that. But so if you have like a Coca-Cola and like an extra helping of bread at dinner, like there goes your caloric deficit. You're not going to lose any weight. So you get super discouraged and super frustrated because you're doing all of this work to get to where you want to be, and it's not working and it's not fun. So again, you're creating that negative feedback loop. And also what it does is when you work out that day and then you go to eat, you're like, oh, you know what? I worked out super hard today. I can eat more. I can eat whatever I want. And what a lot of times you end up eating, you overeat. I know I did this because you don't feel guilty because you think that you worked out enough, and then you might even end up gaining weight even though you're doing all this stuff to lose it. So again, negative feedback loop, very discouraging, very unsustainable. And even the people who, maintain their physiques entirely through exercise, like, I'm talking the elite athletes, like people who exercise or train like 2+ hours a day, 5 to 7 days a week. Even though those people are probably tracking what they're eating because they want to perform, right? But either way, as you get older and you take on responsibilities, maybe you start a family, maybe you get a much more demanding job, things happen in life. And it's really hard to dedicate 10+ hours a week. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but when it's like fitness and when it's like training, it's really hard to dedicate that on top of your whole life for the rest of eternity, And I don't want to be fit for a year or two. I want to be fit for life. I think most people do. You want a sustainable change. So you set yourself up for failure. You create this crutch. You're relying on the exercise that you can do right now, but who knows how long you'll be able to keep it up. And that brings me to number 3. That's why I think that the biggest mistake that people make is not tracking what they're eating and what they're putting in their body. And this is what really springboarded me into much better shape than I was in, is when I actually started tracking what I was eating. And, there's a lot of stigma around the idea of tracking, but let's think about it like this. So think about when you need to save money. The best way to save money is you develop a budget. You figure out, okay, these are my expenditures or my expenses. This is what I'm making. Here's the room I have to save money, pay off debts, blah, blah, blah. But basically, you're tracking all of the money you're spending and making. And so that's how you know for a fact that you have enough to pay your bills each month and put your money towards whatever you need to do. That's how I like to look at calories. Because it takes the guesswork out of the equation, right? So you know for a fact, if you're in a deficit every day, you're going to be burning fat. You're going to be losing weight. So it's simple math instead of guesswork. But also it gives you way more control. So for example, if I want to go out with some friends for a night, in a few days, a lot of people will be like, oh, the next day I'm going to have to hit the gym and run 5 miles or do 500,000 million crunches. And I'm like, nope. I'm going to plan that into my caloric budget so I have room to do that thing that I want and still either be in a deficit or not be in a massive surplus. Whether that means that that's going to be my only meal that day or whatever. As long as you plan it, you can be sure, even on those days when you're consuming a lot of calories, that you're not going to be in a deficit. That you're not going to be in a surplus, or if you are, it'll be a small one. So those are the 3 things that I wish someone had told me, because it took me, 5 years of struggles and wasting I don't see it as wasted time, but 5 years of time and trial and error and research. All right, guys, so that's the whole kit and caboodle. Hope you like these tips. I hope they're helpful. Please don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell thing, so you get notified when I make new videos. Go ahead and follow Shred Fast Official on Instagram, and keep your eye out. I actually just published a book full of, obviously all of these tips, how to implement them and more. It's called Fasting Secrets. I'll put the link in the description. Check it out. Let me know what you think, and fast away.